Good evening, friends. It's Chris Angel coming at you for another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. We are winding down the day here, and I am in the middle of getting my windshield replaced. My windshield, in Spokane, it's very common, I think, to have rocks fly up and hit the windshield and get rock chips. I've lived here for 12 years, and I would say I've had 3 rock chips, and I've only had like 4 or 5 cars since I've been here. So, to me, that feels like a lot. This is the first rock chip for this particular car. It's a smart car. Can you say that? It is a car with a smart windshield, if you will. And so this is way over my head. And as I'm trying to find a auto glass company to replace the windshield, they asked me, does it have heads-up display? And I said, yeah, I think so. Because when I get too close in proximity to somebody in front of me, 3 little red dots pop up on my windshield, right, to suggest that I slow down. However, come to find out, that is actually not the heads-up display. I thought it was because there was something displaying on my windshield where my head is up, which to me would sound like heads-up display. But it's not. So let me give you more story because it's really going to draw out like what's important here for this episode. Several weeks ago, I reached out to another auto glass company by referral. They were referred to me, and I reached out to them. I told them I had heads-up display. I think they just trusted and believed me that was true. When we placed the claim with the insurance company, it came back to where the company I was referred to replace the glass couldn't get it done for the price that the insurance company was willing to pay. And so I went on my own. It was like 60 days of waiting to hear from them, and they just never got back to me. So by the way, side note, super bad customer service, won't do that again. But it was interesting, right? Because it was like they were leaning on me to try to tell them. Look, listen, now that I find out it's not heads-up display, they could have probably gotten a windshield that was less expensive, and maybe they could have done it. Like, they missed out on business potentially because they didn't ask more questions of me, because they didn't listen. I don't know what I need. I don't know windshields. How am I supposed to know what windshields are? I barely know where to put the gasoline, right? In fact, it's funny because I have another car, my other car that I have. I needed to put some antifreeze in it, and I popped the hood, and I put the antifreeze actually in the power steering tank. Oops. Thankfully, the place I take my car was able to flush that out, but that was a $600 mistake, right? Anyway. All right. So here's my point, right? This company, tonight that I called to get this done the right way, asked me some questions. Is it heads-up display? And I said, I think it is, but I don't know. When they had to make a call me back. When they called me back, they said, we called the dealership that you got it from and found out that it's actually not heads-up display, right? So I was so thankful that this company went out of the way to go find the answer. Please, and thank God, please find the answer for me, because I'm not a car person. And it was great because she just asked a lot of questions. And I think it brings me to this point, which is a lot of times people come to you for help, but they don't know what to ask for. They don't know what kind of help to ask you for, just like I don't know what kind of windshielding I need. I don't know. Heads-up display? Yeah, I think so. So people come to you for whatever kind of service you offer, and they're asking for help. Please, God, just help me. I need to replace my windshield, right? They're like, please, God, help me. I just need to get my health in check. I just need to find the love of my life. I just need to get my business on track. I just need to be a good parent. Like, whatever it is that they're coming to you for, they're present to, and they can feel the need, but they don't know how to describe the solution. They don't know what kind of equipment that they need. They just know they need something to change. And this is where many of you are missing not only tons of cash, but you're missing opportunity for influence, because people are deciding not to work with you when you may have been a good fit, but they didn't know that because you didn't ask enough questions to help you understand what they actually need. You have to get really good at asking consulting questions in order to help them see what they need, but also so that you get to see what they really need. And this process is done, this process of understanding what people really need, and basically, by the way, just understanding people, is done by asking questions and asking more questions and asking more questions. And most of you just don't ask enough questions. Period. So you might even get a sale today, but they don't stay with you because your solution for them was not deep enough or understanding enough of what the real issue was. So they hired you for a while and then left because your solution didn't actually scratch the itch. And if you had asked more questions and gone layers deeper, you would have found the real issue. So here's the principle, right? The principle of this whole thing is that you have to dig deep to find the real issue. You have to dig deep to find the real issue. And the production of this, the skill set attached to this is the ability to ask questions. And so I'm going to leave you tonight with 6 questions that have changed my life. They changed my life. I learned these years ago. They changed my life because they gave me a framework to ask questions from and allowed me to stay in a conversation where in the past I wouldn't have known what else to ask. These questions allowed me to ask the next question. And then the next question, and then the next question. So it kept me in the game. If you don't have a framework or you don't have a list of questions to ask, you might ask a couple and feel like it's good enough and then move on, not knowing you could have asked more. The real issue requires you to dig deeper. The real issue that your people that you're trying to serve have requires you to dig deeper to find that real issue. So here are the 6 questions, okay? Here are the 6 questions. The first question, and this to me is the utility knife of questions. This question I could use in every conversation in just this question, and I would keep digging deeper, but then I'll give you some more nuanced questions, okay? Question number 1, what is important to you about blank? What's important to you about blank? Okay, what's important to you about your body? What's important to you about your marriage? What's important to you about your job? What's important to you about money? What's important to you about buying a house? What's important? It doesn't matter what it is, whatever they're coming to you for. My first question is, awesome, I'm glad you're here. What's important to you about marketing? What's important to you about whatever? And you would say whatever you'd say, and then I could ask the question again. Okay, so I say, what's important to you about marketing? And you say, well, I want to make sure that I have enough leads to pay my bills. Okay, what's important to you about having enough leads to pay your bills? Well, I'm just really stressed out all the time. I feel like I'm on the income roller coaster. Well, what's important to you about getting off that roller coaster? Do you see I can just keep going with the same question? And you, oh faint of heart, it is very likely that many of you would stop asking the question 3 times in, 4 times in. And you have to work up the nerve and courage and fortitude to keep asking the question, because it's when they start to get stumped for answers that the real stuff comes out. You have to get past the reflex to the real issue. When you ask the question the first couple times, what you get is a reflex. And it's when they start to pause to find their answer that you get to the real stuff. So the first question that I would give you out of these 6 questions that changed my life, the first one is, what's important to you about blank? Okay, now I'm going to give you the other 5. So the next one is, what exactly do you mean by blank? What exactly do you mean by blank? So if I say, what's important to you about blank? What's important to you about marketing? And they say, well, I want to get off the income roller coaster. I say, well, what exactly do you mean by the income roller coaster? Okay, so that's that question. The next question is, what do you get when you have blank? What do you get when you have blank? What do you get when you have blank? Let me give you all the questions and I can actually role play this out for you. What do you get when you have blank? The next question is, what does that do for you? What does that do for you? Next question, how does that make you feel? Now, when I used to teach these questions, people would roll their eyes like, we're gonna be psychiatrists and counselors and, right? Like, do your best to hang in with why this matters. I don't use that question as often, but you could reframe it if the phrasing of that feels funny to you, right? How does that make you feel? You could rephrase it like, how does that feel for you? How do you feel about that? That is an important question. Okay? Last question then is, why do you suppose that is? Why do you suppose that is? Now, I don't use that one all the time either, but I do use the feeling question and the why do you suppose that is very selectively when it counts, when I need it. Okay? So let's go through the questions again, and let's see if I can't role play it out for you in a quick fashion. So, what's important to you about blank? Then, what exactly do you mean by blank? What do you get when you have blank? What does that do for you? How does that make you feel? And why do you suppose that is? Okay, those are the 6 questions. My encouragement to you, your homework, will be to write those down, hit rewind, and write those down, practice them, memorize them, internalize them, and start using them on a daily basis, all the time, and practice with people. Then the next time you have a client sitting in front of you or somebody who's interested in working with you, you can use this with prospects or clients. Start asking these questions. So let's go back to the marketing example. Let's see if I can't put this in your world. So let's pretend you're sitting down with me and we're talking about marketing because you're curious and fascinated by this authentic marketing approach. And you're like, listen, I want to talk to you. I feel like I need help with my marketing. I say, okay, great. What's important to you about, your marketing? What's important to you? What is important to you about your marketing? And you say, well, I don't like sales. I hate selling people. And I want a way for people just to come to me. And I say, that's amazing. That would be so great. Like, tell me more. But what exactly do you mean by people just coming to you? And you say, well, I'd like people to like message me or email me or like sign up on my forums on my website to like see if I'm a fit to help them in what they're trying to create. And I say, okay, that's amazing. Like, well, let's say that you have people who are emailing you and messaging you. Like, what do you get when you have people emailing you and messaging you? And you say, well, I feel like I can focus more on my important work, right? I can do more of the work I really care about and less time hustling and networking and all that stuff. I say, great. Well, what would that do for you? If you spent less time networking and less time grinding and hustling and more time inside of the work that matters most to you, your important work, the work that actually creates the transformation with people, like, what would that do for you? And you say, well, I think first of all, it would grow my practice. I think the work I'm doing with people, it would allow me to create more transformation with more people, first of all, right? Because I would have more time to spend with the people and less time having to hustle out there. But also, I think that it would give me peace of mind, right? Like it's very stressful trying to always go find the next lead, always hunting. It's very stressful, and I don't like the unpredictable nature of income when I have to do that. So I feel like it would also just give me consistent income. Well, that's amazing. Consistent income would be amazing. How would that feel? If you had consistent income, how would that feel? And you say, well, that would feel amazing. I don't think I've ever in my life gotten to a spot where I've had that kind of a breakthrough. I've had really, really lush and fat months of income, and then I've had really lean months of income, but I don't know that I've ever had a spot where I never worried about money. Because frankly, I've never had a system for it. So I think when I think about marketing, that's what I think about. Okay, awesome. Like, why do you suppose that is? Why do you suppose having a system in marketing would have you feel less stressed about money? And you say, well, I just feel like with a system, which is the thing I've never had, I feel like with a system, I could actually, like the system would do the work, and that feels good to me. I think when the system does the work, then I can focus on my unique abilities. Okay. So listen, the conversation could continue on, and I could circle back through the questions. I could pick any of those 6 questions and keep going until the point where I felt like on the consulting end, understood how, not only understood how I could help you, but I actually would understand more how to help you than you would know how to help yourself. This is exactly the case with the windshield. I don't know how to help myself with the windshield. I'm like, I don't know how insurance companies work. I don't know how glass companies work. I don't know what kind of car windshield I have. I don't even know. That person knew more what I needed than I knew what I needed. And that, in fact, is what I'm looking for in an insurance agent, an insurance company, and a glass company. I want the people that I hire to know more what I need than I know what I need. That's the point. And I'm going to have you consider that people come to you not because they know what they need and they're asking you to fill it, but because they're hoping, thank God, please God, that you know more what they need than they know what they need. And the only way you can access that is by asking enough questions to get to the real issue. Now, I will leave you with this. Here's the good news. When you get used to asking these kinds of questions of your people, not only does it create more conversion in people wanting to work with you, but it also creates better marketing because you start to get at a very deep level, you start knowing what people need more than they know what they need. And so when you communicate that through your marketing message, people hear that and they go, oh my God, I had never thought about that. I really need to talk to this person because everybody else is saying the same stuff, blah, 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 blah. But this person actually seems to get the nuance of it. Like they see something that nobody else has seen. And I feel like they're the person that could help me. That only happens when you have dug deep enough with past clients or past prospects to understand the real issue that your tribe is having and help them get to the other side. So, here's the good news for you. Well, two pieces of good news. One, I gave you 6 questions. And those 6 questions will help you immensely. They changed my life. Also, good news. I have a 6-week program called the Groundswell Method Intensive that gives you a framework to begin to peer into, to look into and see what your people are wrestling with more than they know what they are wrestling with. So that in your marketing message, you are breaking through their filter, through their wall, and they are resonating with your message because you sound different than everybody else they've gone to. If you'd like help with that kind of marketing and that kind of messaging, I invite you to apply for the next Groundswell Method Intensive, the 6-week program. Okay. The way to do that would be to start with my free course, Marketing for the Rest of Us, the course. Okay, you can start that free course at groundswellmethod.com. It is 90 minutes, just over 90 minutes, and at the last page of that course, you can actually apply for the 6-week program. So there you have it, gang. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. We did a little teaching tonight on top of a marketing message tonight, on top of an episode. We did some teaching, and I gave you 6 questions. So here's to you mastering the art of asking questions and digging deeper to find the real issues. See you tomorrow.